Good morning. Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. The Hearts bubble has burst. It's burst. Let's look at the league table. We just go straight in. I've got rid of the league table. You fud. So Hearts played yesterday, and you've got to say the SPFL table looks a little bit different this morning, doesn't it? Because Celtic are hot on the tails of the team at the top of the table. Yes, well, Hearts are Midlothian have played 13 games on 30 points. Celtic have played only 12 games on 26 points. Winner game in hand, and it's 1 point. Yes, going into the busy month of December. The busy month of December that comes with Christmas and gifts and all things pleasant. And it's going to come in the form of a new manager also. It's coming in the form of a new manager, Wilfried Nancy. It's been said will join Celtic on the 1st of December. He will arrive at Celtic Park this week. He will take in the game this weekend with Hibernian. He will take in the game this weekend with Hibernian with his coaches. It's been alleged Martin O'Neill will take his last two games. He will obviously take on Feyenoord, which will be an interesting one for Martin O'Neill. Can he do something? Or are Celtic going to get their arse whipped a bit like they did in Dortmund last year? Tell me your thoughts on that. Or can we talk about that tonight? Yeah, we'll talk about that game tonight. And we'll start getting warmed up for a fantastic European game. Said no one ever in the Europa. But Wilfried Nancy is set to become the new Celtic manager as of December because there's a little clause in his contract that means that Celtic do not have to pay as much money. Such a Celtic thing to do, isn't it? If there's any way that they can get the manager in with paying less money, they will do it. And if it means waiting until the 1st of December to get him in, to pay 1 million compensation less, you can guarantee that this board will do it. And they've done it. And I'm not going to praise the board. That's the last thing that I'm going to do. Just to gaslight folk even more. But Wilfried Nancy coming in. We understand that the 48-year-old French manager. God, that's making me feel old. He's 3 years younger than me. Jesus. What's going on? That's when you know it's fucking shit, isn't it? That means Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney will continue their interim, and get into them. They did at the half time yesterday. We'll talk about that in a minute also. Sean Maloney will continue their roles at Celtic as manager and assistant manager for the games against Feyenoord and Hibernian at Easter Road. 2 away games. Away fans are always boisterous, as we've seen yesterday. But the fact that it was on the 27th of October, was it? 27th of October that we lost the previous manager? Well, who cares about that? But it's taken Celtic a while. Whilst Martin O'Neill obviously knows the timeline. Now that this date has come out, late last night, Martin O'Neill has been very coy, hasn't he? And fair play to Martin O'Neill, because he's come up here and he's got a bit of stick for him saying things that he's just an old geezer just saying his mind. Do you know, and I'm not going to hold anything against Martin O'Neill. I think if anybody holds anything against Martin O'Neill after the AGM, you really need your head looked at, because Martin O'Neill is he was brought in to just keep things ticking over. He's a legend that got us to Seville in 2003. Do you know? And what I'd just be loving life to get to that age and just be like, every old geezer does it. They just say what they want. They're no fucks. They know that. Martin O'Neill said it. He said, I might not be here in a year's time. Legacy? Fucking who cares about legacy? I'm not going to know about the legacy. I'm not going to be here. Says Martin O'Neill. Michelle's coming in with a good one this morning. Risky getting him in before the cup final. Do you think? Lose that and he won't be popular? I don't think Celtic will lose that. I don't think they will lose it. I'm going to say this one thing before we start talking about the game yesterday. If we remember back to a game under Ange Postecoglou where we scored a late winner. Tony Ralston, a late winner. That was the turning point of the season. I think yesterday, and it was a late winner, and it was an unbelievable strike from Callum McGregor. I mean, Celtic just know how. I mean, there were players that didn't have great games. We'll talk about the game in a minute. Let's get back to Wilfried Nancy. But I do think that yesterday was that turning point. And yes, we may just struggle over the line the next couple of weeks. And if that's what it takes, if we just keep struggling and getting over the line over the next couple of weeks until we can get to the transfer window, I expect big movement in the transfer window. Movement like you've never seen in a January. But anyway, it's still unclear whether Maloney will return to his development role in the club. He wants to return to that, but Wilfried Nancy may keep him, or will they keep Fozzie? I hope they keep Fozzie. He's a big lump of happiness walking about there, with a little bit of grumpiness in him. The mad Dundonian that he is. Do you know what I mean? I think it'd be good. Maybe that should have been the poll this morning. I mean, there is a poll going this morning, and it does say, can Celtic unite under the new manager? 69% say yes, 31% say no. We'll jump into the comments towards the end of the video, and you can tell me then why you don't think that Celtic can unite under a new manager. It's going to be a strange time for Celtic, because it's the first time that we'll have had a French manager. Nancy's arrival was says that it's a club without its problems. Really, it's got loads of problems, hasn't it? Majority shareholder Desmond Dermot Desmond even. Fans wanting him and 3 members to step down from the positions. Even though I think that we should be putting forward names of people that will take over those positions, because you can't have a rudderless ship, as they say. The AGM is abandoned, as we all know, on Friday, and they'll melt down. They will continue from that, because the board are just disregard of anything that fans want to say. They're going to run the business the way they seem fit and necessary. If it goes tits up in the next window, should we be then increasing? I mean, do we give them grace until the next window? And there's all these questions that will obviously be answered with the Celtic fans collective, hopefully tomorrow evening. But anyway, it's still to be revealed the terms of what Nancy's contract will be, but his first match will look as if it will be the Dundee on the 3rd of December, and with Hearts showdown 4 days later. That's a difficult task for any manager, going to Hearts, especially when you know that a win will take us top of the table. I think that'll be the turning point. And once we get back to the top of the table, do we back off the board a bit? Do we give them breathing space? No. I think that if they don't I expect at least 7 players to come in the next transfer window. 7 players. There's never been 7 players come in a January window before. And if they get the players in quick enough, and if they speed things up the way that they did under Ange, you may see some things starting to change. I don't know. I'm not sure. But wait and see. It's one of those ones, isn't it? The January window will need to strengthen the squad that's lacking flair, firepower, strikers. Jesus. I'm sure it'll be an easy handover from Martin O'Neill. And I mean, if Wilfried Nancy was sitting looking at that game yesterday, I think the first question that I would have to Martin O'Neill as Wilfried Nancy, I was like, what did you say to the players at half time? Just put me in the mindset of the room. You know, how were the players feeling before the game? What was the main reason for them not turning up before the game? What players are wanting away? He's coming in. He's going to have to deal with players like Shin Yamada that's not getting a chance. Players like Daisen Maeda that wants away. Players like Yang that want away also. And then there's the Rio Hatate question. Well, Jesus. I mean, I think that there's a lot of Celtic fans now coming to the end of their tether when it comes to Rio Hatate. And then we go over to this Premier Sports Cup final against the team that we played yesterday. And let's face it, Celtic made them look good yesterday. Any Celtic team worth their salt. I mean, the first half was just diabolical. And you do that at Hampden. They had a couple of shots that came off the... I mean, it could have been a 2-1 loss easily yesterday. Could quite easily have been a 2-1 loss. But it would have been interesting to see if we did go behind, how Celtic would have reacted. Or whether they just would have completely folded like they've done before. Let me just do that. Make that a bit better. Who's excited for Wilfried? I'm not going to be negative on any manager that just comes in. I think that I've followed Celtic long enough to know that, you know, we're going through a process, and a process that we went through under, and similar, the most recent one is under Ronnie Dyler. People weren't excited for Ronnie Dyler to come in. I still paid my season ticket. I still went every week. I still went home away. I went away Europe. It wasn't the best football, but it says more about the people that decide to not go to games because they don't fancy a manager. And that's just my opinion. Do you know, I know hundreds of people that have got season books at Celtic, and I know that the majority of them will never give up their season book. Doesn't matter what manager's coming in, they'll never give up their season ticket. And whether people think that it's the wrong way to go, we should be boycotting, we should be hitting them in their pocket. These people have had season books. I mean, I know guys that have had season books for the 1980s, the early 80s. They're not giving up their season ticket. Not a chance. You know, they still go to Europe home and away, and they spend a lot of money with Celtic going to games. No, I wouldn't say necessarily in the stadium. Martin isn't interested in the drama queens off the park. He's only interested in the football on the pitch, says Brown Warrior. That is very true. So with Wilfried Nancy coming into Celtic, Luke McCowan's been talking to the media after the game at the weekend, talking about Martin O'Neill, talking about the disharmony between the club supporters and the AGM stuff prior to the civil war that's going on. He did say, he says, look, I think that we need to go into a bubble as players. He says, I think regardless, it's a massive, massive club. Listen, the players, as players, we've not got any say and control of what's happening, but we just need to do a job for the club, and that's the main thing that we need to do. And regardless how the fans are feeling, regardless of what's going on with the board and that kind of stuff, us players need to get the 3 points. It's as black as white as that. I'm getting it for both sides, he said. My family are all Celtic fans. They are giving it to me at home, do you know, in text. I see everything that's going on. You're not blind to it. Does it affect the players on the park? Saying that he hears about it 24/7, that's all we talk about day in, day out, every single day. It's probably why I hang about my house myself. I said, I don't even go to family gatherings. We've had a few birthdays, we'll go on a Sunday, but I'm not going. I said, I've got to stay focused on Celtic. I need to stay focused on my job. And you've got to take that from a guy who bleeds Celtic. He's not the most starred player for Celtic. You know, he was bought for £1 million. He's a player that comes under the bracket of Tony Ralston for getting stick. Maybe doesn't get as much stick as Tony Ralston, but he's a player that has come in and wants to do his best. We all need to remember the smile on that laddie's face when he walks out onto the pitch at midnight on the transfer window deadline day. And, you know, he couldn't believe it. He thought himself that he got far too much football the first year. He didn't expect himself to get as many games as he had gotten. He's a player that maybe should get some more game time. He's certainly a player that gives 110%, which there was players that did not yesterday. Not yesterday, it was Saturday. So, Luke McCowan talking about the situation at Celtic. You know, he says, us players need to take a bit of pride in our performances and the qualities we're shown. It's probably why we're getting hammered. You know, you need to keep showing that you're a top player at Celtic. We cannot allow our performances to dip. I can only speak for myself, said Luke. He says, but obviously growing up being a Celtic fan, it's been a bit easier for me to block out the noise. I think you maybe get nervous for yourself in terms of just playing in general and wanting to win badly. Being desperate to win, desperate to get 3 points, probably because of the slow start that we've had in the league, the fact that we haven't been playing to our best. As soon as you start to get desperate, you've got to try and calm yourself. Calmax said that in messages to us. He says, the guys that have been here for many years, they've told us, you need to go out and put a message out on the park, and we need to do that. That's why McGregor is led by example. Other guys lead by example because they stay present in the situation and in the game. What you want to hear from them going forward in moments dealing like that is, we are still winners. We are still champions. That can't just be taken away from you. We go to the club, we go to a game on Thursday, you deal with that. You know, you go in to the club, you get together, you go to the game, you stick together. And I think it's important that reading that from not only a Celtic player, but a Celtic fan. The fact that, yeah, I'm still sleeping. The fact that Luke McCowan says, we need to stick together. And the fact that we're not together. Do you know? We're not together. As a fan base. We are disgruntled. We're guaranteed to lift the cup if we keep playing. We aren't guaranteed to lift the cup if we keep playing like we did on Saturday. End goes total dud. I'm sick of hearing. He will come good. New players and the manager are the main priority. Yeah, they are that. Celtic fans over decades have become over concerned about how others outside of Celtic perceive us. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, it was Saturday. I did say that. It was Saturday. But anyway, hope Celtic get back to playing the Celtic way as soon as possible. And McCown's attitude and stuff is great. We love the guy. I think a lot of Celtic fans do love him, and I think it's people like that we need speaking out just now. You know, it was great to see Callum McGregor after the game going over to the fans, telling the fans that we need the noise. You know, we need to keep this going. We need the backing, and especially going to Feyenoord, the away fans will give the team backing. Going to Hibs, the away fans will give the team backing. They'll also give their little bit of disgruntled sack the board chants and red cards and everything. But with the new manager coming in, can it unite the club? There's a choke on my coffee. We have 138 votes in already. Can Celtic unite under the new manager? And I don't mean unite with the board. I mean more as the club and the fans. Can they unite under the new manager? Can he bring us together? Can he keep, can he keep us going in the same direction that Martin O'Neill was managed to just keep us ticking over? Do you know, when you look at the games that Martin O'Neill has had at his time at Celtic, the European game, it was always a difficult one. I think that we were looking to get a tanking in that one, whether Martin O'Neill was here or not. Brendan Rodgers was here. We were definitely still looking to get tanked in that one. So the vote in the poll was, can Celtic unite under the new manager? 68% seem to think yes. 32% say no. Let's jump into the comment section this morning and see why people do not think that we can unite under the Celtic manager. Wilfried Nancy is due to take over on the 1st December. Yep, here's that. Luke needs more game time. I think he should be playing more than Hatate. I think so. I think it's unbelievable that Rio Hatate still gets as much game time as what he does. Because I think even if you're putting... Rio Hatate needs dropped to the bench. Dyson Maeda needs sold. I mean, it's a massive... You've got to keep these players motivated until January. We've got Just over a month until the window's open. I'm fearful of window. Jeez, the guys won Jack. Brendan Rodgers was a winner. I think Wilfried Nancy's actually won more than Brendan Rodgers when Brendan Rodgers came to Celtic first time round. Go and check that out, but I'm sure he has. I think he has. What's the deal with Tenecte? He's become the king of passbacks. Yeah, he has, hasn't he? Here's the thought. Maybe just true that it dies in because of that freak season. Yeah. Maybe it is. The pressure has been too much pressure on him. Maybe it is too much pressure. Firing a game of two struggling teams be crap drab game. A bit like Brendan back. I'm not too sure. That's the comment of the day on the screen right now. Good managers can motivate players. Will the new manager make these average players better? We'll soon see. You've got to give the guy some credit. I mean, he got to the North American Champions League final, and I know that you maybe think the standards aren't what the Europa final is. Never mind, but he did get them to the Champions League final in North America. He won cups. He's won at Montreal. He's won at Columbus Crew. I'm not going to go in with the whole negative thing. I'm going to see what he does. The fact that he's coming in this week, he's going to be here for the end of this week to start next week. The fact that he's going to watch the Hibs game with his backroom staff, they're going to be analysing the players right from the start, and maybe it's a good thing that they are going to do that, because they've no favourites. Everyone starts with a clean sheet. When this guy comes through the door, nobody's got their first name on the sheet. That goes out the window. That's ripped up. The team sheet's ripped up. Everyone's fighting for their position. Whatever Martin O'Neill says, I respect your advice. I respect your report card on the players. Me and my staff are taking it forward, and we'll decide what players are good enough for Celtic and what players should be shipped on, and definitely what players should and should not start. Now, it's maybe the fact that, whatever Dyson Maeda does on the training pitch is absolutely phenomenal, and that's why he gets a start. You never know. Would we take their top goal scorer? I've never seen him playing, so I've no idea. I don't know. This horseshoe piss that Rodgers embedded to these players over months. Wait till you see Wilfried's training sessions. I'm hoping. I think that looking forward to this guy, looking forward to it and seeing what he can bring to Celtic. And it's not going to take away from the disharmony that we have with the board. Most definitely not. But I do think that we have to give this guy his opportunity to shine. And he's been given the opportunity by Celtic, Just checking in to see if the Hearts fans that have been all over the Celtic streams are okay. The bubble has burst with Hearts. We'll talk about that in a minute, because talking about Wilfried Nancy again, I for one will give him the full backing that I give every manager. I give Brendan Rodgers the backing for maybe too long. I did say that Brendan Rodgers would be here for the 3 years. We all know the way that transpired, and it wasn't all good behind. But let's give this new manager the same kind of backing that we give Ange Postecoglou when he came in. We didn't know who Ange was. We knew nothing about him. He got off to a bit of a bumpy start, but we're coming into the halfway point of the season. There shouldn't be any bumpy starts. We're up and running. Martin O'Neill's managed to steady the ship. Games have not had great games, but it's definitely a change in the coming. There's a change in the wind. But anyway, My only issue with the board is recruitment side, not getting significant signings in quick enough or at all. Why wasn't Tisdale at the AGM? I don't know. I have no idea if Tisdale was at the AGM or not. He's not in a position to, and he's not in a position. The AGM is more for business related stuff. His position is only to identify players. It's nothing that has it does have a finance. I don't fucking know. I mean, there's never ever been head of recruitment at an AGM. Never, that I can think of. Wilfried's waiting on his backroom staff contracts finalised. Brand new backroom team. Yes. All the players might step up so Nancy plays them. Exactly. It's happened before. Do you know, players that have been deemed that have wanted, you'll get a natural turnover of players when every manager comes in. There's a turnover of players. There's a natural turnover of players. Players that want to move away from the club. We know this already. Players that the new manager might come in and go, fuck me. Seriously, I still say I'm going to put it in the comments just now, and so that it could be time stamped. Seven new players. Why does it come up with that? Seven new players. That's what I reckon. 7 new players in the next transfer window. Because we need 7 new players just to get this squad over the line. Now, when we look at the league, we'll look at it again just to remind those jam tarts this morning. Yes. We're coming to get you. We've got a game in hand. When we play the game in hand, we will win it. We'll get the new manager bounce. You know, the players will get a bit more enthusiastic. 5 new players on a loan. 5 new players on a loan, do you think so? I'm going to go for 7 players. I agree about 7, or at least 6. It'll be a new look when that board get the fuck. Keep the comments coming in this morning, because I'm going to try and get as many as the comments on the screen as possible. You must believe me. 5 good players. Danny Cassie's coming in. Morning to you, Danny. The thing is, if we get in, look at it this way. There's one way to look at it. Is we've gone through our bad patch now. We've got a lot of injuries now. We're only 12 games into the season now. Things can't get worse. Things really can't get worse for Celtic. Other teams within the SPFL will hit their bad runs. Hearts have had a fantastic run to the season. Their bubbles burst. That's it. They'll start having a bad run of games. They'll start dropping points. That's when Celtic start picking up the momentum. I think that we'll go into January and we'll get the January boost that we always get, that we used to get under Brendan Rodgers years ago. We'll hit that busy time in January, and we'll start picking up points. We'll start playing better. We'll bring new players into the squad. There's not many teams in Scotland that are going to bring 5, 6, 7 players in January. Not a chance. Not a chance. When does our game hand get played? We need between 6 and 10, says James. 8 in, 4 out, says Kieran. I think we'll be lucky to see 4 in January. Highways had a decent this season. Should be beating them. Yeah, exactly. I think that we can't get any worse. Martin will go back to his punter's life. Can't blame him. He's getting a bit up here. Things can only get better. Yes, as Dean would say, things can only get better. And they can for Celtic. Do you know, this will not go on until the end of the season. The bad form, players not wanting to be at Celtic, it'll only happen until January. I expect Dice Maeda to leave in the first 3 days of the window opening. I think it'll be that quick. It'll be as soon as the window opens, Dyson will be off. They'll be like gone, absolutely gone. And Celtic will go from strength to strength, and that is where I see us getting better. Now there will still be the disharmony with the there'll be the disharmony with the board. But what if the board? Now here's a total left field thing that what if the board actually do back Nancy phenomenally? 7-8 players, get them in early in the transfer window. He's sitting down and he's thinking, right, we need this. You're not telling me that Celtic are in discussions with a manager and they've agreed to him coming in on the 1st of December. His staff are, we're working behind the scenes for his contracts to run out in December. Compensation is less in December, so we'll hang off till December. There's a clause in the contract that maybe you get him for 3 million now, maybe you get him for $1.5 million in December, because it's a different year of his contract. You don't know. We don't know these things. But there's one thing for sure, that he will be looking at the players. He'll be looking at games. He'll be talking to Celtic. He'll be talking to Celtic backroom staff about players, positions that's needed. Because he's not going to come in just blind. If he has been, we know he's been allegedly in talks, and if it's official that he does come in this week, if he's announced on Thursday, Friday, you never know. When you look at it, if he starts on the 1st of the month, he will, where is it? There. He'll be in next Monday. He'll start work a week today. So Celtic need to make the announcement on Friday. They need to drop the announcement to the stock exchange. If he starts work on Monday, Celtic need to make the announcement this week. Now, will they make it when Martin O'Neill has done his press conference? Will they announce it on Friday? Will they announce it Monday morning? Will they leave it that late? Or will they give the fans something to get excited about? Because there's one thing, is the Celtic hierarchy need to do something to change the perceived lack of ambition from the fans. And a week today, when Wilfried Nancy and his backroom staff do take over, let's just hope that Hibs haven't managed to claw back some points against Celtic. Because that would be devastating, because they are one game ahead of us also. It's a perfect storm for Wilfried Nancy and for Martin O'Neill to go out on a high. What would be a better way and a more fitting way for Martin O'Neill to go out? He's came into a shambolic Celtic that were losing games. He's steadied the ship. He's closed the gap. If he can get it, close the gap even more before he leaves, and then it's job done. No, he could go away with a smile on his face. And I think fans would love nothing better than that. The Feyenoord game, if he gets a draw in Feyenoord, he'll be an absolute legend. Do you know, it's not going to be an easy game. They're having a bit of a crap time just now. But I just think that if Martin O'Neill can get something out these players on Thursday night, and then get something, they can win the Hibs game. Do you know, I think that Martin O'Neill will sit back next weekend, have a little cup of tea with Wilfried Nancy, and talk about the squad, wish him well, and then I wonder what he's been paid. Do you think there was any talk of how much Martin was getting paid for coming in? Martin, are you going to come up and help us out? Yeah, I'll do it. How much do you want to pay me? Wonder if that, I'm sure Dermot Desmond would have thrown money at Martin O'Neill to come back. Net spend with Rodgers was positive for them. So the Rangers are coming, God only knows. Have you seen that woman to watch? Nope. Maeda will have his locker emptied before the window opening. Yes, he will. That, and good riddance to him, because I think that he's a player that is just not putting in a shift at all. We haven't replaced Kyogo. Anything thinking this board will break the bank in January. He needs to get back to reality. If they don't back the manager in January, they are putting at risk any thoughts, any inclination of trying to get into the Champions League next year. They will know this. From a financial perspective, they cannot afford to not spend in the next window. They will know how much that the bank balance will have taken a hit this year. Not bank balance, but income. They will know that the income is down because we are in the Europa. They will know that that's not really where we want to be. And if you want to keep on pushing the business forward, and let's get into the business mindset that they are in, do you know they want to keep the club profitable? If you're not in the Champions League, you're not going to be as profitable. It's as simple as that. So they will know. They've admitted that they did things wrong. Let's hope that that little bit of guilt that they have, not that it's much, but let's hope that it does inspire them to get things going. They got things going pretty quick with Ange Postecoglou. You have to give them that. Let's hope that they've went down the same road with Ange as they're going to go with Wilfried Nancy. And I think that if they do that, you know, if they do that, it'll be an interesting. How many of our players are on 900k a year? I have no idea. AGM may favour us. Cup win for Martin O'Neill. I don't think that. I think the players will want to do it for themselves. Do you know Martin O'Neill will be 14 days out the Celtic hot seat by then. 14 days at Celtic's a long time. Ask Martin O'Neill that. He will know that he will be just a faint memory within the players' minds, because the players will all be on the here and now and focusing on what the new manager is telling them. Maybe Martin O'Neill will have a father-like figure speech to give the players. A wake-up call, a reality check, a speech that may hit home with a lot of these players on what it really means to play for Celtic. Martin O'Neill is a better motivator than what Brendan Rodgers was. And I think if Martin O'Neill can leave a legacy of what it really means to play for Celtic, and instill it into these players to give Wilfried Nancy a boost. The board need to go. Baz not interested in new management, either a shower of duds. So you're not interested in the new manager. We've not got proper leadership at Celtic above team manager's office. My personal health permit, Martin O'Neill gets the job a long time. It's not going to get that. And Wilfried Nancy is all set to join the join Celtic this week. This week he will be. I hope they keep Maloney. Well, Maloney will still be at Celtic anyway. Maloney said right at the beginning of this process that he wants to go back to pathway manager, loan manager. I think Maloney is fantastic on the training pitch, but I'd rather keep Fozzie. If there's a choice between the two, I'd rather keep Fozzie, because he's going to have his own number two. Maloney's a number two. Maloney's not going to be some just somebody sitting on the bench. It's no Maloney's style, and that's why Maloney knows. Like, I know that I've got my job as pathway manager, helping the younger players progress. If he can do that, and if he can bring in a bit along, if that's the job that he's really got his mind set on, you know, he's managed Hibs, he's been assistant national manager, you know, and if he's really set his mind on making players better, younger players, giving Celtic a system, that's got a long-term job prospect in it. Manage it. Let's face it. If you put if Maloney was to be a number two, I don't think that the days of having a John Kennedy in the backroom staff and number 2 for 27 years is a big prospect that a lot of people will look forward to at Celtic. So you're looking now, the way that we're going to go forward, there's probably a change in backroom staff when we change manager going forward. Having Sean Maloney in a position where he could bring through the younger players that are only 16, 17 now, but you're looking at that as a 5 to 10 year project. And Sean Maloney will see that as an ongoing thing. Every year he'll be wanting to see players coming through from the boys club into the academy side of it, and he'll be wanting to see them progress and make them better players. Do you know, and telling them how they're pathing their career out, giving something to Celtic players, younger players, that they haven't had. Because younger players that have left Celtic have left because they said there was no pathway laid out for the first team. All they were told is they'll get put out on loan. Put out on loan to do what? And if you don't fucking come and watch me, there's been too many Celtic players in the past, youth players, that said they've been put out on loan, and no one from Celtic came to watch any game of theirs in a full calendar year. Sean Maloney won't do that. Sean Maloney will make sure that he's watching players, he's making sure that they're progressing. And if they're not doing well at a certain team that they're out on loan at, cut the loan short. Get them back at training at Celtic. Get their career moving forward. But anyway, Maloney will be kept at Celtic. It's just in what position. But I do think that it will be the position of loan manager. I'm going to jump through there. What? Was Lawwell there when Ange come in? No. He was in the background, but here for the cup final. Yeah, this is true. Just jumping through these comments. Today's anniversary of Bloody Sunday, 1972, wasn't it? Father Martin's doing great. The older boy are doing fantastic. Someone needs to do something with the B team. They're rank. Yeah, they are. And even the last manager said we're now in a position. We're now in a position where the B team will not produce for around about 5 years. And that's the last two managers' fault. The blame for the situation with people not coming through the B team lies at the door of Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers. They didn't see a pathway for the players to come in. Both managers had their own little favourites that they were never going to drop out the team. Now, whilst Celtic were successful, Martin O'Neill was a manager who brought in younger players. Wilfried Nancy likes to develop homegrown players. And maybe, just maybe, it's Doak Kelly for 2, the manager Brendan Rodgers trouble in the scene. Yeah, he didn't let them know how they were going to get into the first team. Where's all the positivity coming from this morning? I think it's just the fact that we're finally getting a new manager in. And I think that, look at the league table. We're in meltdown mode. We're in meltdown mode. We've got a game in hand, and we're only 4 points behind Hearts. That's not meltdown stuff. If this is our worst period of the year, we are just going to... I'm going to say it now. If Celtic win the league, they'll win the league by about 10 points. There you go. I've said it. I think there'll be that much of a turnaround. I think that we'll win the league by 10 points. I'm going to say that in December. I'll probably come back to regret it, but you never know. But I do think that a draw is a crisis, a defeat is a disaster. It is always at Celtic. But I think that finally bringing... It's taken so long to get the manager in. We're not in a bad place, as many people may think. As many people think Celtic are having a complete meltdown just now. Look at the injuries that we've got. Other teams haven't got a big injury list. Other teams haven't went through a bad patch. Hearts haven't went through a bad patch. Hearts cannot play an invincible season and go all season without getting beat. They got beat yesterday. That bubble is well and truly burst for them to go on a run and be the dominant team in Scotland. Rangers changing manager early on in the season means that they might finish second. There's a good chance that Rangers will finish second because they changed manager early. They made the decision. I still think that they're a shambles of a club, but it'll be interesting to see that Mr. Negativity's in the room this morning. Nancy will not last till May. This will be a disaster. Jesus. I will even put that one on the screen. Anyway, that is me done and dusted for this morning, is it? Should we finish up just now or should we keep going? We're going to keep going. There's 415 people on. We're still running the vote. Let's see if we can get the vote up to 300 votes. We've got 269 votes in already. We've got, can Celtic unite under the new manager? 66% say yes, 34% say no. Right, let's jump into that then. Tell me in the comment section if you're in the know why you don't think Celtic can unite under a new manager. Because 66% think yes, 34% say no. Right, so we're going to go on for another 20 minutes or so we'll get the hour. Let's jump into the comments. Hearts have won 1-4 against Dundee. As Brown Warrior says, it's not taken long to appoint a full-time manager, Baz. We've appointed a proven interim until the due process of finding the right guy was completed. Well, it is completed. He's going to be in this week, and it'll be interesting to see what day that he is announced. Do Celtic bring him in on Wednesday? Do they announce before? Does that take the shine off of Martin O'Neill? Do they bring him in on Friday morning once the team have flown back after their European exploits, so that it's announced on Friday to the stock exchange, and then Martin O'Neill plays the game at the weekend, and then he starts on Monday? Him and his staff taking the game on Monday. There's more chance of that happening than taking any limelight off of Martin O'Neill, but you never know. Celtic, we've no idea, to tell the truth. I'll support Nancy, but I hear my doubts. Did you have your doubts about... Here's an honest question. Did you have your doubts about Ange Postecoglou when he came in? The rest will stop us if they have their way. I don't think so. The cracks will appear. As for United, players will follow. If fans are united, the players will follow. Because it's the same board, Baz. We can't unite because we're going to appreciate one like Martin O'Neill. It would have started under Martin O'Neill. I don't think so. Unite, fuck all, are you mad? Shouting, what are you shouting at this time of morning? Fob 1888. How do you think that Nancy will get any more out of the players than O'Neill will? He won't. He will bring in 7, I said at the beginning of this, he will bring in between 6, 7, 8 players in the next transfer window, and that will change the season. You maybe weren't around at the beginning of the video when I said that. He will bring in, I'm going to say at least 7. There'll be 7 players come in the next transfer window in December, and there's never been a big turnaround of players in December. You're going to see a turnaround of players in December like you've never seen before. That's just my hunch. It's no inside information, but when you look at the injuries that we have, long-term injuries, we need to bring players in for them. When you think that Cameron Carter-Vickers is out to the end of the season, we need to bring a defender in. We need to bring players in. You need to bring your players in now so that it gives us, if you've any ambition of trying to get the Champions League, we need to have one of the best winter transfer windows that we've ever had. And if we don't, and the club fuck it up, we take the protest to the next level. But I think that the board will. And it's not about getting more out of these players. The players know that Martin O'Neill was not a long-term manager. They know that he's just standing. They know the squad know there's players that want away. The players will talk to each other. You know, they'll know that Dyson's wanting away to fuck. You know, they'll know that Yang's wanting away. There's other players that will be Paulo Bernardo. He might want away. You don't know. What's Paulo Bernardo got to do to get a game? There'll be a massive turnaround. And a new manager that comes in with a long-term view, long-term I mean just more than to the end of the season. This manager's coming in and he's going to be talking to them about next season, about winning the here and now. But he also knows, and the players will know, that they need to up the game. Because if they don't up the game, they'll know they'll be gone either the next window or the summer transfer window. And that's the new manager bounce that all teams get. Just Celtic trying to tempt Nancy, sounded him out. This is fair. If you hear a crashing sound, it is just Hearts bubble bursting. Have we got it? No. Hearts bubbles bursts. Monday morning, up with a lark. That's enough of that nonsense. Celtic are not a big deal where the manager drops what he's doing and comes to Scotland. It's very true. And I think that getting people to move families and everything from the other side of America. But there were folk that were screaming Ange to be sacked after 7 games. Yes, I do remember. Nobody knows if the new manager will be a success. Look what happened with Ange. Yep. Not many give him a chance. I don't think Wilfried will charge anything in the middle of the season. A slow change of style will be evident next season. I don't think so. I think that you will see, once he gets the next window, I think that we're underestimating how many players are going to leave Celtic at the next window. I really do. I think that we're underestimating how many players that will leave. Do you know? Hearts loss was a nice wee birthday present. Day off. I have my doubts to say, as far as Ange's point, he was much more experienced manager than Nancy at his stage. Nothing wrong with having doubts. We would have it with any manager. I doubted Martin O'Neill first time round. A lot of people did, because Martin O'Neill said himself, you know, there was a lot more experienced managers out there that had won a lot more than Martin O'Neill. I think Martin O'Neill had only won the FA Cup, hadn't he, with Leicester? So he didn't have a great CV, Martin O'Neill, when he came to Celtic. People got to realise that this board isn't going to change no matter what, says Joseph Davison. 34% of the fans collective in the Green Brigade who are not interested in uniting under the demands, and the demands are met. Yeah, this is very true. Very true. But as we have to support the new manager, hopefully he will change our style of play for the better. Yes, I think so. I'm looking forward to a new style of play. But we're all getting fed up of Brendan, and this is why I'm excited, because a new manager coming in is not going to be side to side passing Brendan stuff. And maybe that's why I'm excited, because finally we know that there's a manager coming in and the football will change. Players will need to change. Because if they don't change, if they don't adapt, you're out the door. And that's what I want more than anything. You know, we've spoke about over the last transfer windows about getting rid of the dead rubber. It's not so much getting rid of the dead rubber now, it's getting rid of the players that don't want to be at Celtic. That's the reality of the situation. There's players that do not want to be here. Get rid of them. Get players in that want to be here. Get players in that want to play for this manager. You know, he's coming in from a part of the world where you never know. He might know another Ali Johnston. Do you know? He might know another 2 or 3 players that have got the desire, the work rate, the going into a fight that will. Do you know? If there's one person that you want backing you up in any brawl, it's Ali Johnson right behind you. He maybe knows 2 or 3 more players like that he can bring in, not only from America, Canada. You never know. He might bring in some from France, and we've done not too bad with French players in the past. We're getting the same thing as Hearts. We signed players, analytics. Could be a game changer for the club our size. But Baz, who goes? Who goes? As in players. For me, Rio Hatate, Daizen Maeda, Yang, and it wouldn't surprise me if Paulo Bernardo has to leave. I didn't have my doubts about Ange after reading about his track record and his style of play, which would be too much for the SPFL standard. Well, Wilfried Nancy's style of play, his track record, is not up there as winning as much as Ange, but he's won things. And I still reiterate, you're not a bad manager if you can get to the American version of the Champions League final. I think we're giving the guy a bit of discredit if you do. It's Monday morning, mate. I'm always happy on a Monday. It's a new week. Monday's a new week. It's a chance to start over. And Wilfried Nancy's going to be sitting at Celtic Park Monday morning next week with the players. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. I think so anyway. But it's just me. But as the Huns are desperate, they're now stitching up fellow Huns with that non-penalty award. Yeah, I know. Unbelievable, isn't it? I don't really want to have 8 players in the winter window. I doubt it. I'll tell you one thing. I'll no gloat if it does happen. I promise. I might do some more sound effects if it does happen. Every time that there's a new signing, this will be the noise for a new signing in the winter window. That'll be the noise for a new signing in the winter window, right? The League Cup with Leicester, not the FA Cup. But I knew it was one of them. I mean, that wasn't a great track record, was it? You know, he hadn't won the English Premiership, or it wasn't even the English Premiership then, was it? But anyway, yeah. Say good morning. Influx of MLS players? I don't think so. I don't think there'll be a load of American players coming in. I think he'll bring in players. I mean, I don't know how many American players actually he has playing for the team that he's at. Don't know. Wonder what McGregor asked the Green Brigade. They didn't ask the Green Brigade anything because they weren't at the game. They were at Cowdenbeath. Watching Cowdenbeath. Vickers, Maeda, Hatate, Bernardo, they can go. Yeah. I think that Cameron Carter-Vickers won't get sold this window. He'll not get sold the next one either. We'll have Cameron Carter-Vickers for another year, and I think he might be sold maybe the next winter window because his track record for injuries. Did you like that one? I'm sitting in a square, and I see the white smoke coming out the chimney, and I'm like, that's a sign. That's a sign. Like Brendan, they'll be silenced and moved out. You talk about players. Be more than goat than gloat. Yeah, tell me about it. Right, anyway, that's me done. 59 minutes today. Fantastic morning. Let's finish off the poll. See where we are. We've got 301 votes on the poll. We can finish that off. And it's can Celtic unite under the new manager? 66% say yes, Celtic can unite under the new manager. 34% say no. Poll completed, 301 votes. That is your poll for today. Make sure that you join me tonight. Baz, there's one. There's a good, interesting. Now there's an interesting one. We'll get that one in before. Only 3 players in Nancy's current squad are in the USA squad. How many non-Americans are in the team? How many non-Americans are in the team? Anyway, we'll find out later. And it doesn't really matter, does it? Because I don't think that we're going to start buying in a lot of American players somehow. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are. And as soon as Celtic announce something, you're guaranteed that we'll be on a live.